All right, welcome to Talk-Jitsu with host Uki Mike, Joy Boretski, and me, Jordan Preisinger from Jordan Teaches Jiujitsu. Today we have a great episode for you guys, and we're going to start off talking about just like crappy things about gyms. And because I posted an Instagram post about like, what's a scam so normalized you don't even realize it's a scam anymore. And there's a lot of great answers. And one that really stuck out to me is why like gyms that don't teach concepts, they only teach techniques, and there's so many out there. And I'm really opinionated on that, so I'll give you my opinion. But let's start with you, Joey. Why do gyms not teach a lot of concepts? Why do they only just teach like just technique?
Well, I'm here to piss some more people off and offend people, so people can message me on Instagram about how their gym is awesome and I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think a lot of gyms, the coaches might just not understand. They might not have a good enough grasp of what's actually going on. You know, they were taught techniques. They've spent 10, 12, 15 years doing techniques, regurgitating techniques. And now I'm not going to say some guys who do MMA or jiu-jitsu might be a little more on the meathead side of, the spectrum of intelligence. I'm going to claim to be the smartest human in the world. I'll be the first person to admit I'm pretty dumb, but I think you get a lot of dumb instructors who are just really good at grappling, and they're like, this is the move I was shown, so just do this move. And if you ask them about a concept or a why, and they're like, I don't know, bro, just do the move I was shown and I'm showing you.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think that's exactly the reason why a lot of gyms don't teach concepts, is because the instructors don't understand them. They just don't understand grappling very well, and they kind of view jiu-jitsu as like individual techniques, and they don't know how to actually break it down. And I see that, again, all the time. And even like simple things like, on Instagram and like TikTok, I see all the time, like really bad choke bites. And I always screenshot them because I find them so interesting. So like I have a bunch of screenshots of like really terrible triangles where there's a huge gap between their legs and the person's neck. And I'm just like, what are you doing teaching that and teaching it like that? And the Dars Anaconda is a really good example. Like elbow positioning is so important because like, for a choke, you have like the pivot point needs to be positioned correctly. So it's just like scissors. Like the pivot point is like where the blades meet, and the blades need to come together for scissors. And if what you're cutting is like far from the pivot point, it's going to be way weaker. So it's the same thing with chokes. Like where your pivot point matters, because not only will it be stronger when you're closer, but you also need the right angle of the pivot point. Otherwise, the pressure is going to go to other places of the neck. And there was like a really popular TikTok that I saw. Like, I don't know. It was about Dars Anaconda, and like the elbow positioning was so poor. It's like you're just going to crank the person's neck, and like people seeing it, like they don't know what they're looking at. And I think that a lot of instructors in general just like don't know what they're looking at. It's like, this looks like an anaconda, or this looks like a Dars, and 100% it is one, but not 100%, but like it's not positioned correctly, and these details are extremely important. And it's just like I see it all the time. Sometimes like just like something so simple can make such a huge difference. So like when I'm teaching like arm triangles, for example, I really stress like how important it is to have a good choke bite, to have the pivot point completely on the neck. And you can choke someone with only one arm if you do that. And like the look on people's faces when they feel like a real front arm triangle, or real Dars, or real anaconda, where the pivot point is positioned correctly, is a perfect choke bite. They just can't believe it. They've never been choked like that before. They've just been neck cranked or just felt a lot of pain. And just like a lot of instructors don't understand these like simple concepts. They just never were taught them. But like a lot of these things I wasn't ever taught. And like a really good example too is neon belly. So I was talking on my YouTube, like what's the point of neon belly? And it's to use, if you can't have control of the upper body, like with your arms, like cross face and underhook, you have to go neon belly when they start to turn, because it's a frame to keep them down. You have to use what's available. And so many people are like, I've been grappling for so long and no one's ever told me that. And like, I feel the same way. No one's ever told me that either. I had to figure it out for myself. And like, I think a lot of instructors are missing so many key concepts, and that's why they don't give them, because they're just missing so many of them.
Well, last night when you were using me as Uki, I couldn't believe how, like when you adjusted your choke, I almost went out in front of the class right there, and it only took a half a second. You were using one arm. So yeah, using that concept, all I can think of when I'm doing it myself, and I did it later that night, is the pivot point on the scissors, like you said, and get your head low and up under. And it made such a difference just thinking about that. Even just visualizing a pair of scissors. I know it may sound silly, but I need these visual cues to make me go through with the actual technique, follow through with it.
Yeah, it makes such a huge difference. Like Alex, big brown belts at our gym, he was he got me in a good arm triangle, but like he was just pressing his weight forward, just like on my chin, and like, you know, that's not gonna make me tap. I need to know I'm gonna go to sleep. And so many people, that's what I see as the most common things. Not only the choke bites poor, but like where their pressure is going isn't to the carotid artery, it's going elsewhere, because your pressure has to go somewhere. So you have to, you know, think, where's it going? And up isn't the answer. You need to go low so you can go right on the neck. And yeah, again, these are just the things that make or break a technique are just missing from so many instructors. And jiu-jitsu's been around so long, and it blows my mind how a lot of these things just aren't talked about or just kind of discovered now.
And the way you teach it as well, it's also a safety thing for your partner. You're not crushing their windpipe. You're actually blood choking them, which is much better for them than, you know, a damaged windpipe.
Yeah, we talked about this before, how like certain names, or I guess the way we call things in jiu-jitsu can be like annoying. And that's one thing that's annoying to me, is like calling things strangles all the time. Like mostly everything in jiu-jitsu is a blood choke. There's very few airway chokes. And for those that don't know, like the technical difference between a choke and a strangle is that a choke is supposed to block the airways, and a strangle cuts off the blood flow. But I'm not going to start saying rear naked strangle or bow and arrow strangle or cross collar strangle or anything like that. I'm going to keep saying choke, even though technically it's not. But people get too confused. They think that there's such a difference between blood chokes and airway chokes, but there's very few air chokes. Like the only one I can really think of is the mouse smother, but also like a chest compression can do it too. But like, how many can you name that aren't actual blood chokes?
Would a paper cutter be right on the windpipe? You're coming down straight? No,
that's a blood choke.
Okay, because I've been doing it wrong then.
Yeah, because you go around to the other side and then put pressure that way.
I won't do that anymore.
Yeah, the only one I can think of is just the smother, because you're just depriving them of oxygen. But yeah, pretty much everything else is, I mean, technically they are all strangles, but like, you know, I'm getting old, man. I'm not going to change my whole vocabulary just because I'm technically wrong. I'm going to keep calling them chokes, because that's what I've been calling them forever. And I'm going to get confused if we start calling them strangles. So I'm going to keep calling everything a choke. And
Yeah,
functionally,
and
functionally, like, does it really matter? Does it matter what word I call it? It doesn't.
Definitely not. And words can change meaning. Like, I think that it's taken on the meaning that of like just a blood choke is fine. Like, for example, I don't mean to like offend anyone or say anything bad, but like the R word, you know, that you can't say that anymore. But like, it used to be a medical term, right? So it kind of took on a new meaning of like an offensive meaning. So I think it's the same kind of thing with the choke. It's just, you know, it's fine to say choke. It's fine. Yeah, it's annoying to me.
Too many people watching Danaher videos want to be like him.
Yeah. Well, there's so much instructor worship, and Danaher is no stranger to that. And another thing people said on on my Instagram post was like bowing down to people that like pictures on walls and stuff like that. And I feel the same way. Like, I'll bow to someone in class, like we bow together, like that's a mutual thing. But I'm not going to bow down to any man like that. It's not bowing down to me. It's together. It's like, I wouldn't ever want someone bowing to a picture of me. Like, that'd be so weird. I would not want that. Like, I don't want to bow down to anyone like that. I don't want anyone bowing down to me. But definitely, if it's in class we're bowing to each other, it's mutual, it's different. But yeah, I think that's pretty lame.
Yeah, I'm not about the whole bowing thing. Like, I understand where it comes from. Like, it's a remnant of like Japanese culture, I believe, that was like infused into martial arts and judo, especially when it came here. But I'm not Japanese. I don't believe any of my members are Japanese, so I'm not sure why we would like have to abide by some sort of like Japanese custom on our mat. Like, we're Canadian, we're North American. Like, you know, we're just gonna do.
Do you guys not bow in? Do you guys not bow in for class?
No, we don't line up or bow in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like like, I know you guys do it, I don't mind, but like the whole, like, we don't line up by belts or anything. I'm trying to like really take away as much hierarchy in my gym as possible. Like, I really want everyone to feel like equals. Um, so we just basically, like, people are on the mats, they're warming up, and then when it's time to go, we just pop up and I go, all right, guys, this is the warm up we're doing. This is the drill. Like, grab your partner, warm up with that, and then we'll start our technique. And so far, it's been pretty good. I've never had any issues with it. Yeah, we don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just do it just because it's like that's the way it's always been done. Like the gyms I've gone to, it's always been like we bow in and stuff like that. So when I started teaching class, it's okay, we'll bow in. And I don't hate it or anything like that, but I don't like bowing to pictures of people I don't even know, because who knows if they're even good people, because a lot of people in the past of jiu-jitsu, a lot of Gracies like weren't good people. Like the people don't know the history and they should learn it. Like there's a lot of bad blood and a lot of stuff going on, shady stuff, and I don't want to bow down to anyone like that. Just honestly bow down to me. I mostly bow together. It's not like bowing down. It's if we bow together, it's all right. But just in general, like, you made a good point about like the hierarchy of the gym, because someone was saying too on the Instagram post, they're they don't like how some gyms require you got to go like shake every higher belt's hand and all this stuff. Like you had to go around like, thank you and everything like that, as if there's some like hierarchy. But like, we're all just people. We're all just doing a fun sport. It's not that serious. I think it's good to, if you have the time to, go and shake people's hands and stuff, that's great. But I don't have time to go and shake every black belt's hand that's there or stuff like that. I just don't think we need that kind of stuff.
I like bowing at the beginning and the end of class. I feel like it brings a cohesive group together. We're all showing respect to each other. But to a pitcher, no, I'm not going to bow to a pitcher, especially one of you, Jordan. Sorry, but I'm not going to do that. But
no, I'm not that egotistical part. I'd ever want that.
But everybody shakes hands at the end. And I kind of like that part. If you cut it out, I wouldn't lose any sleep. But I mean, to me, I like it. I like that little bit of traditional part of it.
Yeah, one thing we talked about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we cut that out. Like, our class doesn't actually have a formal end. It just, like, we start rolling and then people just leave when they have to leave. Usually people come by and be like, hey, I'm heading out, and like, shake hands with people or give them a high five or something or a fist bump. But like, we don't actually have like a class is over. So like some nights, like last night, we ended up doing like 12 rounds of rolling and there were still people on the mat. So we just like, all right, I guess we're still going. These people haven't left yet. I'd like to go home, but I guess I'm still rolling.
Yeah, that's what we do for Nogi. And there's definitely like pros and cons, because if you have an official like end of class, a lot of people are encouraged to stay till the end and roll those amount of rounds. But if you don't, some might leave early, but you might also have the opposite effect where you just get tons and tons of rolls. So it kind of just depends on the people and stuff like that. But like I prefer that. Like I kind of prefer that for sure, because we get to roll a ton. But yeah.
And Slice, like, it has, there's definitely days where like, your 4 or 5 rolls in and, the energy's low and people are starting to filter out and you're like, all right, today is going to be a day that's just like 5, 6 rolls and then we're out of here. But we do definitely get days where it's like, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, I'd really like to go home, but 2 people are still going. It happens a lot. Like, obviously we just competed this weekend. So some of our guys who maybe didn't win are, really motivated right now. We've got a bunch of competitions coming up. So there's been a lot of rolling the last week.
Yeah, how did it go? You did ADCC Vancouver. You tell us a little bit about that, but tell the audience.
It did not go well for me. I lost, I think, 3-0 on points in my first round. Things were a little chaotic. We had a whole plan for like the weight cut and getting to the event, and I want to make it really clear. There's a difference between excuses and reasons. I'll never make an excuse. Like, I'm not going to be out here and be like, oh yeah, the stars, Mercury retrograde lost because like whatever. If I say, or you ever hear me say something like my weight cut didn't go well, that's on me. Like the weight cut is a part of the sport. Making the weight is a part of the sport. If I fuck that up and my weight cut doesn't go well, I feel like shit, I compete like shit, and I'm gassed because I weight cut poorly, that's not an excuse. That's me saying I fucked up. The weight cut is just as much a part of the match as the actual match itself. So this goes for like MMA guys too. You'll hear guys be like, maybe I didn't win, I had a bad weight cut, and people go, oh, they're making excuses. Like, no, that's not an excuse. They're giving you a reason. Like, the weight cut's within their control and they fucked it up. It's the same as saying I went in and I turned my back to the guy and he choked me. Well, that's not an excuse. That's the reason you lost. So like, my weight cut didn't go well. We had some wild flight delays. I think we were delayed like 6 hours. It was terrible. Got in super late. I ended up being dehydrated for like 29 straight hours, which is not
Shit.
ideal for anyone who's got weight. But yeah, the match went all right. I actually, like, I can't complain. I kind of got everything I wanted. Like, I pulled right away. I got leg entanglements. I actually popped the guy's foot with a toe hold in the first like 30 seconds. Little scramble happened. He didn't tap, ended up with a straight ankle lock, and his foot popped like probably 8-9 times. Still didn't tap. My energy faded very quickly. He got a quick pass, and then I couldn't get points back. So it was definitely a learning experience that if I'm going to cut, I need to do it a little bit better, a little more responsibly. I probably should have flown out a day earlier and done my cut there, not relied on cutting on an airplane. But it also, you hear like Mo Jassim and the ADCC guys say like it's a different strategy for ADCC, and I kind of didn't believe. I was like, whatever, it's a tournament, you just play for the rule set. It is really different. That rule set's really hard to score points. It's really hard in that rule set to score points if you're down. So like if you've fallen behind, it's really difficult. There's a lot of ways you can negate people from scoring, and not allowing people to pull guard in the overtime. One of my white belts, the kid's fantastic, man. He won his first round match against a really good opponent, actually. And then the semifinals, he pulled guard, was dominating the guy, going for submissions all over, threatening sweeps. And the other guy was doing everything he could to just like stay on top, not give up points. So you go to the overtime where they start you back standing. My guy does like a snap down. They both go to their knees and my guy sits. So it's a -1. If he just waited 2 more seconds, he would have been actually allowed to sit without the negative and would clearly have won the match. But the other guy didn't. So it was a learning lesson there. Is like, hey, we've got to plan for this overtime, knowing that sitting is not an option. Or if we want to sit, find ways to do it. But he ended up getting bronze in the semifinals. So like, congrats, Daniel. He did really good, man. He looked really good. I was really proud of him. But yeah, it was just one of those things where like we learned a couple of small tactical stuff that we have to change for that rule set.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have a hard time like going in there, like competing and not because I don't understand the rules. So I definitely need to really look into them to understand them, because they can definitely play a role. Like my mentality would be like, doesn't matter, I'm just going to go and submit you. But like sometimes that doesn't happen, and the rules really do matter. And one thing I'm kind of interested in your opinion, Joey. I was watching a documentary yesterday or a couple days ago on like, it was about football, and Tim Tebow, he was saying his coach back in the day when he was a kid, he was saying it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's just about having fun. And he's like, no, like that's the only thing that matters is winning. And he was just a kid back then, had that mentality. And do you think that's a healthy mentality to have, or do you think it is just about having fun?
It's like, I know it is just about like, ultimately, like, unless you're world champion or you want to be a world champion, like it should be at least in part about having fun. I guess I would say I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. Like ultimately, like I didn't win this weekend. I went out, I learned a lot of lessons. I actually had a really good time. It was a really well-run event. I'll give a little shout out. Anyone who's thinking about doing an ADCC Open, definitely do them. They're very fun events. They're well-run. It's a unique rule set. Definitely do them if you get the chance. They're really fun. So like I had a good weekend. I had fun. I learned lessons, but that's all great. But at the end of the day, like I signed up for a bracket. I want to win that bracket. I am disappointed I did not win that bracket. And, my post-tournament ritual is always the same. If I win, I'm super happy. And if I lose, I'm, moping around for a couple days, angry that I lost, because I have standards for myself when it comes to competing. And I'm sure someone like Tim Tebow, who's made it to a high level in professional sports, has the same thing, where it's like, it's that drive to win. I'm not signing up because I want to lose. If I didn't think I could win, I wouldn't do the bracket. I wouldn't sign up. So I think it's kind of somewhere in the middle. Like you have to have that drive and desire to win, but at the same time, unless you're Gordon Ryan, you have to understand that you won't always win, and do try to find some enjoyment out of it, or else why are we even doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want to get out of it. I mean, if you just want to have fun and you don't care about losing, then that's different for that person. But, someone like me or like you, Joey, too, like very competitive, like winning is the only option. Like anything else that's the standard is winning. Like losing sucks. It sucks to lose. Then there's no way around that. It's just human nature for competitive people. And, when you lose, you have to use that to fuel you to get better. And so it can be great motivation. You can't just let it eat at you forever and quit. Again, there's two options to take. But, when it comes to kids, what would would you still like, what kind of advice would you give to them? Would you say, oh yeah, it's no problem. You have fun. That's all what it's all about. Or would you how would you approach that?
For the kids, I always have one thing as a coach that I request of them. I want you to try your best. If you try your best, I am happy. If you go in there and you don't try, they're just goofing around. They're not even doing the stuff I know they can do. They're not trying. I'll be a little upset as a coach because you wasted your time. You wasted your parents' time. You wasted your parents' money to do this. You signed up. Try your best. If you lose and you try your best, what more can I ask of you as a coach? If anything, if you try your best and lose, that's my fault as a coach for not making you better. So that's all I ever ask of a kid. Like, go in, try your best, try and learn something and have fun. If you win extra, that's fantastic. But all I ever ask for like an actual competitive standard is to do the best you can do.
Yeah, I share the same mindset. Like, I wouldn't tell a kid going into a tournament, if just go in and have fun, and it's not a big deal if you lose. Like, but I'm not going to tell them, you have to win either. Like, I'm upfront with them. Like, it sucks to lose. It feels horrible. But if you lose, then it can be a good experience to actually get better. You need losses. That's just part of it. Like, no one goes undefeated, and even the best of the best lose. But you should have the drive to win, and part of the drive to win again is like using the losses to fuel you. And I think it's kind of like the mentality we grew up as like millennials. Like, the coaches were really like participation medals and, oh, you're having fun and stuff like that. But like there is a place for competitiveness, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think we need to like shy away from that. And one thing I want to do with my advanced kids is to like have them sign a contract, which is like all the good stuff that's like reaffirming. So it's like, I'm going to try my best, and if I lose, I'm going to use it to help me improve and stuff like that. And like, and that, I understand that losses can happen, and stuff like that, not in like a bad way, just so they can understand like expectations that like, I'm not forcing you to win. I'm not trying to put that on you, put all that pressure. But at the same time, like, you just have to have a healthy mentality about losing, because it's not the end of the world if you use it to make you get better. And one thing I like too is that like, it's all practice until you get to black belt. Once you're a black belt, I mean, it's still practice to an extent, but like, you're not, you don't want to lose as a black belt. Like, I don't really care about the losses I had as a white belt or blue belt or purple, like those are pretty irrelevant. But now I want to win, and I'll do everything in my power to win. And that's the only option. But for you, Mike, like, how do you feel as a, now I wouldn't say you're like a recreational practitioner, but you're in the masters division. This isn't like your income and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about going to a tournament?
When I go to a tournament, I go in with the mindset that I would love to be on that podium. I don't care if I get a gold, a bronze, or a silver. I just want to make it to the podium. I'm happy to be there. If I lose and I don't make it to the podium, yeah, it's shitty. I mope around a little bit, but you know what? I lick my wounds for a day, and then I'm fine. And every time I've done that, I've got better for the next tournament. Like we said, the first tournament I went to, I got smoked twice. And then the next tournament, I double gold, right? So it made me realize what the holes were in my game and what I had to work on and what to get better at. And yeah, losing sucks. The feeling of losing sucks, but you can only grow and learn from it, I find.
Yeah, I feel like it's like gaslighting to tell people that losing doesn't suck.
You feel like shit when you lose.
Exactly. We don't need to hide around it. Like I grew up playing soccer, and I never I was never happy losing, but even when we won, I wasn't happy unless I was the one scoring the goals. You know what I mean? And like, that's just the expectation. If you want to be the best, that's what you have to have for yourself. But yeah, not to change the subject too much, but one thing that I did want to talk about too was like coaches that put too much pressure on their students to train. So I saw that on the Instagram post, like the coaches would be like, oh, you have to come like this many times a week. If you're not there, they make you feel guilty. And like people have lives, people don't always want to train. It's not a big deal. And that can be something that's really annoying. It's like I would never put that expectation on my students. Like I'm never like, hey, Mike, you better be here. You know what I mean? Like where you at? And like messaging them. And I used to see that all the time. Like back in the day, I'd see other coaches like friends of mine, but I don't agree with what they're doing of like putting pressure on their students, like saying stuff like that. Where were you last night? It's none of your business.
Yeah.
But like, Joey, have you experienced that ever?
Yeah, I've experienced the other end. I tried like as a coach now, like sometimes, if I'm talking to one of my students the next day, I'll send them a message, be like, hey, are you in tonight or something? Or like, I've had some students who are pretty much in like Monday through Friday, like 5 days a week. And, you see them on Monday night and you're like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And then they're not in, you see them Wednesday and you're like, hey, everything good? Like, didn't see you yesterday. Just like, there's nothing wrong with a coach checking in. Like if one of your guys who's there 5 days a week isn't there for 4 straight days, like shoot a message and be like, hey, I just want to check and make sure, like, is everything good? Like, are you okay? Like, did you get hurt? Do you have staff? Are you on vacation and just didn't tell us? Like, just want to make sure everything's good. But you shouldn't be trying to force your students to show up. I mean, people have lives. People like you and I get to do this for a living, which is kind of cool. But for a lot of people, they're working their 9 to 5, they're coming home, and maybe they have a spouse that is like, hey man, I'll let you leave for 3 nights a week, but I also like, there's stuff to do around the house. I want to spend time with you. You got kids, you got to spend time with them. You can't just expect people to drop everything on their life and train. There's no requirement to be here. This is a voluntary activity.
Yeah, like you need to find a balance for sure. Like it can definitely be encouraging to, reach out to someone, and if they haven't been there in a while, ask them, is everything all right? But the expectation, it's definitely like it can go on both ends, because a coach that doesn't care is also, pretty awful too. Like for example, if someone gets hurt and you don't even check up on them, like that's not good etiquette. And even like in class, sometimes that happens. Not to me, but like I've seen that like one gym I was at before, like someone got hurt and the coach didn't check up on them, didn't care, and that person really did not like that, which is understandable. And that was one contribution to why they wanted to leave, because they just felt like the coach doesn't care about me, like they just keep on rolling. If I see someone get hurt, most of the time I'll check up on them, unless it's like I can see, like I'm looking over while I'm rolling and see, okay, they're probably fine. They're just something kind of minor. But if they're like holding their knee or in agony, like it definitely, you got to check up on them. That's your role, is make sure everyone's doing well.
Yeah, you've done that for me. I remember you were deep in a roll and I was rolling and I popped my knee and I made a little sound and you came right over. Is everything good? Are you all right? Is everything good? I'm like, yeah, I'll be okay. Thanks and we appreciate it as students. We appreciate that you take time from what you're doing to come over and check in on us, make sure we're okay.
Yeah, coaches should care. But I see sometimes people complain about coaches like rolling too much and not like watching enough, like not watching the whole roll, like the whole rolling session, and making sure everyone's progressing or whatever it is, but coaches want to roll too. So like I think you can find a balance. Like when you roll with people, you get to see their you get to see how they're doing, or maybe if you're taking a night off, you can watch everyone and stuff like that. But I also don't think it makes sense to take every single round off to watch your students only.
No.
So yeah, that can be a bit annoying too. And people are like that, but I don't think that's too common either. Just because people told me, like when I started the gym, like once you own the gym, you're not gonna be able to train for yourself. Like you're not gonna be able to compete and stuff like that. But it's like why not? Like I'm gonna be able to train more now, So yeah, people are so silly like that.
Yeah. I mean, like I also think like I shouldn't have to watch people roll. Like I roll with all of my students. Like I don't have students I don't roll with, so I get to roll with you guys. That's way more valuable to me than watching. I'm like, you can learn a lot from watching, don't get me wrong, but like there's a difference between feeling what someone's doing and just watching them do things, because you can't always, it sometimes is different when you feel them roll. You may watch and get an impression of a student and be like, oh, this is perfect, and then you roll with them and you're like, the weight distribution's kind of weird here, or like the timing is off on some stuff, and they're not like the urgency's not there for certain things, or maybe like, they're going for a sweep and it's not working. You're like, you think, oh, it's just, the person's defending correctly. And then they try it on you and you're like, oh, actually they're missing like a little piece here. Like something's not quite right. So I find I don't need to sit out all night and watch people roll. I just roll with them.
Yeah, and you don't need to make the whole roll like a big, like one long private lesson either, because when I see people do certain things that it's an obvious adjustment they can make, I'm going to tell them, but they still want to roll. And I see that happen too from coaches. They're just the whole time and just like the whole thing's one big long private lesson, which can be good for sure, like at times. But if it's like that every single roll, it's like, bro, I just want to roll. I just want to roll with you. You know what I mean? It's like, it can be annoying. So definitely give like little tips and stuff like that here and there. Can be very beneficial for sure. And someone asked they asked on Instagram if we could talk about it and give them advice. Like they're becoming the more experienced person at their gym, and they're kind of just realizing that, because it kind of just creeps up on you. You kind of realize that, oh, like I've been doing jiu-jitsu a while, and I'm one of like the more experienced guys now, and they're wondering how do they approach that situation, because there's a common adage in jiu-jitsu, you don't want to be the best guy in the room, but I don't think that's necessarily true either. I think you can still progress just fine regardless of the skill level of your training partners. But like, how do you think you should approach that?
Like you definitely have to put a little more thought into your training. I'll say that. Like that to me is the biggest difference between being like, I'm just a blue belt in a gym that's got tons of purples and browns. Like any blue belt and like the Trenton Limitless, like, man, you got guys a lot better than you. You can get smashed if you want to get smashed. Like the rounds are there for sure. But if you're like, let's say, like I actually think I'm in a pretty good situation. Like I'm the head instructor, I'm the black belt, and my next highest belt, I've got a couple purples who like, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but like if I want to on any given night, I can have a pretty easy night. And that's just a fact. I'm sure most black belts who have newer gyms and don't have a lot of other like brown black belts with them probably feel the same way. If they're a legitimate black belt, they should at least feel that way. Just to offend some more people here real quick. But yeah, you just have to be smart with your training. Like I can't just go, I'm going to do my A game every round with these guys that I'm better than or that I'm more senior than. Like I have to, what are they best at? That's what I'm going to play with them. Like I'm going to see what they're best at. I'm going to do it, and that'll help make me better. It'll make their offense better if they have to deal with someone who's defensive. If I've got a guy in my gym who's a really good leg locker, I'm going to let him enter on the legs, and I'm just going to spend a couple minutes working on leg lock defense. I'm going to try and shut down, escape pass. And then when I get past, I'm not just going to spend the whole round holding him in side control and killing him. Like, no, we're going to move. I'm going to let him get back to where he wants to be and get comfortable. And then we're going to work on that some more.
Yeah, I think you brought up a great point about not using your A game, and something that kind of annoys me, because a lot of things annoy me on social media, is when people are like, when I show more niche of techniques and they're like, oh, this is a waste of time. Like a no-gi Ezekiel, for example, people are telling me that doesn't work. And it's like, well, yeah, it might not work for you, but it works just great for me because I know how to do it right. And I think not to go off topic, but I think one reason people think that the no-gi Ezekiel doesn't work is because, again, they suck at it, and their training partners who are trying to do it on them suck at it because they don't have good choke bites. Because if you have a good choke bite, it works great. I just started using it, and I'm like in love with it now. I use it all the time, and it works great. And not even just to set up, like, if they defend, you go to an arm triangle or something like that, but just like the submission itself. And I didn't give it the credit it deserved. And I wouldn't have started using that if I only used my A game. Like I like messing around using niche techniques all the time, but yet I get these like annoying people saying, oh yeah, A game only, it's no, like that's how you don't progress. And even people that, if you're only using your A game, like how good is your A game? That's the reality too. Like, is your technique perfect? And my mentality always was like, I want perfect technique. Like if I'm like squeezing on an arm triangle and you're not tapping and I'm squeezing hard, why is this not working? There has to be a reason why. And that was always in my mind for everything. I want everything to be easy. And it's just, I might have like settled like, oh, arm triangle is my A game. Yeah, I get the tap most of the time, but it still wasn't perfect, and that's with a lot of so many positions. Like how many people are actually perfect at every single thing they do? very few unless you're elite. So I think you can apply that in both ways. If you're going with less experienced people, you need to sharpen your A game, but also work on your B game, and not like settle thinking that your A game is perfect, because I guarantee that it's not. There's a lot of adjustments you can make to make sure that it is perfect, and everything you do is easy.
When I go against less experienced people, I'll give them my back and I'll try to fight from that, or I will give them superior position and try to fight out of that, or I will work on things that I know I'm not that great at and try to get better at. That's what I usually do in that situation.
Yeah, sometimes people ask me how much I get tapped, and I do get tapped like probably once a week by, it's always lower belts, because I like to mess around. And sometimes they think that, like, not students of ours, but like sometimes we get like people that visit for a bit or whatever, and I'm like messing around, and they happen to catch me. Like, I've had it before where they think that it was legit, and I'm like I crush you every single round. I was like just messing around this round, but it doesn't hurt my ego too much. But it just happened before. It was kind of just a little bit annoying. It's like, bro, like, yeah, I don't know. It can be annoying.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know what people want. Like, I'm pretty lucky. Like with this podcast, we get a few people who are like fans of the channel in town will drop in for like an open mat. And I had one person I rolled with, and like, if you're a blue belt and you come in from another gym, I'm going to play around with you, man. Like, I'm going to have a really good time. I'm going to try to do some ridiculous things. Like, I might try and Boston crab you, for instance, because why not? I want to try it. It sounds like fun. And we'll have a fun, playful round. I had one guy tell one of my members, like, oh yeah, like Joey didn't beat me that bad. Like, I did really good against him. And I was like, the guy told me like the next round I was grabbing a drink. He's like, hey, that guy said he did really good against you. I was like, I was fucking around with him. Like, all right, buddy, we're going to roll again now. Like, you're going to learn a lesson today. It's going to be an unfortunate lesson. That guy hasn't come back to the gym. Whoops.
Yeah, those are fighting words. That's the worst thing you can say to someone.
I'm sure you feel the same way, where like, it's almost disrespectful. Like, unless this is a tournament, I'm not trying to win. Like, if you want to put money on the line in the gym, like, okay, well, we'll roll to the death if you're putting money on the line. But other than that, like, I'm usually trying to have fun, or most likely I'm trying to work on my own game. It's something, a big thing. I'm sure, Mike, you've felt this before. And I have a lot of blue belts who'll tell me like things like, I feel like I'm getting worse in the gym. Yeah. And I go, okay, what are your best moves? And maybe they go, oh, I'm really good at playing guard. Like, I'm a guard player. I like to go for triangles and stuff. And I go, okay, what have you been working on the last 3 weeks in the gym? And they're like, oh, I'm working on trying to pass and take people's backs. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. You feel like you're getting worse. You're working on something you're worse at. Like, the results are going to be worse because you are bad at this thing. That's like having someone who's like, I don't know, a mechanic be like, yeah, I feel like I'm getting worse at my job. I'm like, oh, are you still working on cars? And like, oh no, I tried to build an airplane. It's like, yeah, no shit, that's not going to go well. You don't know how to do that. You're learning a new skill. It's not going to feel good. Like, it's all jiu-jitsu, but it's different. It's different stuff. So like, everyone, like black belts included, we have things we're not great at compared to the other things we do. I mean, I'm ranting for a long time here, but like, my game's a really good example. I have very good leg locks. I'm not particularly amazing at triangles and arm bars. Now, I'm really good at triangles and arm bars compared to white and blue belts, but compared to the rest of my game, that's just not what I'm best at. So when I'm working on that, yeah, I'm going to have less success because this isn't what I'm best at doing.
Yeah, but maybe that's because you prioritize controlling the shoulder instead of the wrist.
Yeah, I just don't. I think I just don't like them. I got short, stubby legs. Anyone who's met me, I have like gnome shaped legs. Like, I'm built like a corgi, so my body, like, there's certain moves that I just have a hard fucking time with, man. I just can't do it.
Yeah, for me, like when we get visitors and it's their first time, I'll never like mess around for the most part. Like, I want to like impress them, and not like because I'm super egotistical, but I don't know. I guess a little bit I am. Like, that's what I get dopamine from. Like, I like, doing cool things and impressing people. Like, that's one thing I love about YouTube, is because like they get to see how hard I work on the content and like be impressed by it. And that's just reality, So like, I don't know. When new people come in, I always try to, beat them up good, but very gently, like where it feels like I'm not trying. Like, that's always my goal. Always. It's like, they feel like they got the shit beat out of them, but like so like calmly, and everything they did was like a mistake, and like there was no like lots of pressure, or any pain or anything like that. But I want to submit them like, 6 or 7 times in a round where they feel like I'm not even trying. And yeah, maybe that's egotistical, like I said, but that's just the way I am, I guess,
When people come in from other gyms, I find that about 90% of the time they're trying to take my fucking head right off my body. And about 10% of the time, excuse me, about 10% of the time, because I go in with like a real gentle, slow, and let's feel each other out kind of thing. And they're, trying to fucking win gold or something. But 10% of the time they're matching my slow and, flowy kind of pace. Cause I don't want some guy to come in from a gym and say, oh, Mike just tried to tear my fucking head off. But they do that to me all the time. But as soon as that mode kicks in, then it's game on. And it's like a tournament for me.
Yeah.
You got to go hard.
Yeah, exactly. I'm never letting someone come in and leave with the impression that they were surprised how well they did against me. I want them to feel the opposite, not where they feel bad, but like where they understand, like, okay, yeah, Jordan does know what he's talking about. And, when I get to know people more, say they're visiting for like a month or a couple of weeks or whatever, then I'll start like messing around more. But I feel like the past roles should show them that when I am messing around and if they happen to catch me, it's like that it should be obvious to them. But yeah, it's happened only like once or twice where it wasn't. But yeah, what can you do?
I got to start doing that. I gotta take your approach and just be like, listen, I'm going to play my A game, impress. And then if we roll again, then I can have some fun, but let him know what it's like. Just know if you're a guest and you drop into my gym, you are going to get buggy choked because I enjoy doing it. So
yeah, I think the best example, sorry, Joey, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, it's kind of like a thing now. I try it every round.
Yeah. You're the only one that's ever gotten me in a buggy choke where I tapped. So good job, Joey.
Yeah. I think the best example was when Kieran came and he said, well, once I roll you, then I'll know how much more I'll be way better the next time I roll you. And then I'll probably end up tapping you kind of thing. And I was like, the fuck did you say?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe it.
I told him it's going to be the opposite. I said, I'm going to do better and better against you, but it's going to start off great, but I'm just going to figure you out more and more. And against a competitive guy like that, like love Kieran, but like you're a competitive dude. I'm not going to mess around with you. You know what I mean? Well, I wouldn't say that's true. I actually did start messing around, like giving him my leg and stuff like that, like to try to attack it because I like when people try to attack my ankles. Like it's just fun for me because they're so flexible. It's like it's just not going to happen. So I just like seeing the look on their face of like they're just cranking on that ankle. It's like, yeah, no big deal to me.
I like Kieran too. We had a match, and I'm not gonna lie, it caught me off guard because he's very physical. I find he's very technical, but very also aggressive in his rolls. And I found that it really caught me off guard. But then we had a really good hard roll. Once I knew it was that kind of roll, I was like, okay, I can deal with this.
Yeah, he rolls hard for sure.
Yeah,
he reminds me of me when I was a blue belt. Like when I was a white belt, I was like more reckless and I was just trying to kill. I was like not a good rolling partner, and I admit that 100%. But as a blue belt, I would roll hard, but way more, safely, gently, methodical and stuff like that. But I still like rolling hard. And as time went by, then I really started matching pace more and more. But definitely as a blue belt, I'd match pace for like smaller training partners and whatnot. But like if you're like a black belt or something like that, or you're more physical, like I'm coming to try to get you. You know what I mean? Which I think Kieran has the same approach, which I don't think is bad at all.
No, I don't either.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I just got a message. I actually just agreed to a super fight in a few weeks. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to doing that. I got a pretty busy schedule the next couple months. I think I'm competing. I was trying to do the math. I think it's going to be 6 tournaments and 2 super fights in September and October. So,
oh, shit.
Yeah, it's going to be really busy, which is an interesting question. Like, is there such a thing, do you think, as competing too much?
No, I mean, I think if you don't get hurt, I think just the more the better, but definitely you risk getting hurt the more you compete.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big if. For me, though, I find like one of the reasons I like to compete so regularly is it helps me stay in shape. It really gives me motivation. Like, Jordan, you've known me for a long time. When I'm not competing, I have a tendency to get what we would call fat.
Yeah,
I like
truth.
food, man. I really like food. A lot of people have their vices. For me, mine's food. So like competing a lot is what really helps me stay motivated to like do the strength and conditioning workouts I want to do, eat right, stay lean, train hard. I'm a person who definitely struggles with motivation. And I know, like you've said in the past, like you've had those issues before too. Like, do you find having like short-term goals helps you stay motivated, or are you like a long-term goal person?
I think a bit of both, but I don't know. It's like the goal needs to be like something I really want because like I've talked about it before. Like I have ADHD, so like to do something, I need to get that dopamine from it. And if I'm not going to get enough dopamine from it, then I don't want to do it. So like, yeah, it's really hard to find things because it's easy to say like just go out and compete, like, but for me, no, I don't get it. It's a lot of effort for like not enough dopamine. And I don't even like the whole thing. It's very stressful. So I don't want to put myself through all that stress until I'm in a place of like low stress. And not to go too off topic, but one thing I'm actually going through is just some health problems. And like my stomach is messed up. I think I might have SIBO. I don't know that anyone knows much about that. I think maybe that's not even the word for it, but
C. diff.
no, it's like small intestinal bacteria, something or whatever. But yeah, like I keep going through phases of time where I'll be like super bloated and waterlogged, and like my acne gets worse, and I get really tired, and then I'll go through periods of time where I'm like more shredded and good to go. Like it's weird because if you watch like a video, like one video, I might be way leaner than another video. So like I don't know, like my stomach's always messed up. I thought it was CHS, which is cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, hyperemesis syndrome. And so I stopped smoking weed, which is like, I've been off for a while, which I'm very proud of myself. Sorry, but I don't know if that was the reason because I'm still having a lot of stomach issues. So yeah, it's one thing I haven't really talked about.
Do you take a probiotic?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And it's still not good. So I got to get that worked out. Like that's one thing that's really holding me back too, is like, I need to get healthy first. And then start focusing on competing because it's hard doing everything I'm doing, like working out and, everything else when my health isn't right. Like I'm feeling a little better today than the last couple of days because again, it goes in phases, but some days I'm just so dead and drained and so like bloated and my stomach hurts like crap, like so bad, but I still got to do what I got to do. So I got to work out still, but I'm not getting the same quality workouts that I would otherwise. So yeah, I need to figure out my health first. And if anyone knows anything about like digestive issues like that, definitely message me. Cause I've been doing so much research, like just trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with me, like changing my diet so much too. Like I'm only eating, like I'm eating very selective now. Like eating a lot of, like not eating dairy anymore, not eating gluten. But I was having a little bit of dairy, last couple like weeks, and like only in the sense of like cream in my coffee and then whey protein. But now I'm cutting it out completely because it started getting worse again. So yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, if you do an elimination diet, they say that can help weed out what foods might be causing any issues, right? That's how I started getting into keto and carnivore and stuff like that. But
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. It's just so hard to find because everything I look at, it's like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. It's like, fuck, like what am I going to eat? So yeah, I've been eating a lot of grass-fed ground beef, but again, I've been eating some other stuff, which I'm not sure has been messing with my stomach too, like eating a lot of raw honey, which I guess like the bacteria can start eating the sugar. And so it's like feeding them the sugar. So I don't want to go no carb, I need carbs as like an athlete. And, but it's getting so bad now. I'm just willing to do whatever it takes. So yeah, I might just do like a long fast or just like only eat meat for a little bit, which I don't want to do because I like dessert a lot. I like healthy desserts. So like, yeah, I don't eat like cake or anything like that, but I mean like, protein powder mixed with, peanut butter and, honey and like with some nuts on it. That's something I really like, or like making creamies that are healthy, which are like, it's like a machine that makes ice cream, but you can make it healthy with whey protein. So yeah, I'm just in a position now where I'm going to do anything it takes to get healthy. And then once I'm healthy, then I definitely want to compete because I know I can beat everyone, and that's just reality. So like, I want to go and do it.
I definitely have a lot of keto recipes if you need some. I was keto for 2 years and now I'm still back on it, and I'm down to, I think, 149 pounds. I've lost 12 or 13 pounds in the last month. And I feel pretty good mentally. Like my mental clarity is good. Everything's good. I don't feel any loss of strength. I did for the first 2 weeks. It sucked. It felt like I was kicking heroin or something. It was crazy, but lately it's been good. Really good.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I
was
said to
gonna
text
say,
someone really quick.
oh, no worries. I was gonna say, I hope you feel healthy, because like, especially competing at black belt, like I think having the health and diet and, you know, feeling good is so much more important at the higher belts where the skill level's higher. Like the difference between like competitors at that high level is so small sometimes that like just the difference of like, my diet is slightly better, I have slightly more energy, I feel slightly better, is going to be the difference in a match. Whereas like I used to find at the lower belts, like, man, I could eat like shit. Now maybe it's also because I was younger, like I could get away with eating like shit and just feeling fine and competing. And now it's like, man, if my diet isn't like tailor made for competing, like the right things the night before to have energy, the right stuff the day of, like I just feel like garbage when I compete. And I don't know if that's just getting older. If it is, God, this sucks. But yeah, no, like I definitely hope you feel better, because I know if you want to compete again, like I know what it feels like to like feel like shit when you compete from food, and it's hard. It's really hard to compete when you can't feel good and eat right.
Yeah, it's really hard. And thank you. And exactly, like, you know, one thing, again, I got so many issues. It sucks. Like, I'm like, my doctor thinks I'm bipolar, but I don't know if I am or not. I think it's just ADHD. But, you know, so I go in like phases of time where I'm feeling good and motivated, but then I go through periods of time where I'm not. And I think that is correlated to like how I'm feeling healthy wise too. So I might be feeling good and then like, yeah, definitely want to compete. But then it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be going through some like stomach issues and whatnot, like when that day comes, and I don't want to risk that. And for example, actually, when I had my match against Caesar, I felt like shit that day. You know, my stomach was messed up and I looked bloated in the match. And like, yeah, that was like, yeah, frustrating, because I'm like, shit, like I got this match today. I'm like, and I wake up feeling like shit. Like I'm going through this for a long time, like probably like 2 years, honestly, and just not knowing what it was until I learned more and more like what's going on, and realizing when I do feel good and when I don't feel good. And yeah, and I'm going to start keeping like a food diary and stuff like that, try to figure out what's going on, because yeah, it's I don't want to risk like agreeing to something and then that day turning up like just feeling like shit, and I got to compete against someone really good, or even not, because someone that's like not super good, I can beat them either way. But someone like really good, like I want to be in my peak performance. I want to feel good going into it. But that's life, you know. But anyways, we have to cut this short only because we need to film some stuff for YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for sticking around to the end of the podcast. If you are still here, please leave a comment or a fist bump. And again, if you know anything about digestional problems, let me know, because I need to figure this out. So yeah, see you guys.
Can I give one quick shout out before we leave?
Oh yeah.
To all the people who stopped and said hi or took a picture with me at ADCC and said you were fans of the podcast. Could not appreciate you guys more. It's amazing to see that we have fans like all over. Yeah, it might not mean a whole lot to you, but like to get stopped and be like, hey, are you Joey from the podcast? Like, I love it. I will never get tired of it. I will always make time to talk to you guys. You're all amazing.
Yeah, just to expand on that, it is a great feeling. Like I love it. Like I never, like sometimes people come up to me and they're like, is it okay? Are you, and like they feel like almost like as if they might be bothering me, but it's not at all. Like I'm more happy than they are, you know. Like I just think it feels great. Like it just again, not like an egotistical way. It's just really cool to know people enjoy the podcast, enjoy the YouTube channel, and think it's cool to meet me or you. It's like, again, we think it's just as cool to meet people that, you know, consume our content. So yeah, we appreciate everyone always, and always happy to take pictures. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.